Yeah. So we got a lot to talk about. I know it's been Doc, it's been a couple weeks since we had you on, so definitely glad to have you back on, man. I
Thank
know
you.
some insights that you and Lee have when it comes to the draft and what's coming up and that kind of thing. I know we was just I really real quick. I just wanted to get Doc's insight on this league because I know we were just offline. We were just talking about Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was telling Doc, he was saying he didn't want the Vikings. Like the Vikings needed a veteran presence, right? But not Aaron Rodgers, right? And I kind of told I said the same thing. I was like, Aaron Rodgers just need to retire. So Doc, I want you to continue what you were saying, man.
First and foremost, Sam Darnold's now no longer with Vikings, with the Seahawks, I believe, about $30 million a year, which is kind of like the upper limit of what I would have wanted the Vikings to spend on him if they were going to spend money on him. Though
Right.
we talked about this before, how the way the season ended, I don't want to spend $30 million to hope it gets better this season, right? So like,
Mhm.
hey, we got McCarthy. Let's see how McCarthy goes. It would be great
Yeah.
to have a veteran quarterback to hold down the fort until we know for certain McCarthy's ready to go this season. My issue with Aaron Rodgers, besides the whole, well, Favre did it, so we don't want Rodgers to try to do that whole thing too, right? Is that Rodgers is not known to be a team player,
Mm.
sacrifice for the common good,
Mm.
mentor young people to help them adjust to coming into the league, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So, so McCarthy behind Aaron Rodgers is just McCarthy on ice. I don't see Aaron Rodgers sitting with him, going over playbooks, how he makes his reads, what he does to navigate the pocket, helping the young guy get better. So if he comes in next season, he's better off than he would have been coming in this season. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest reason why I'm hoping if it's any veteran quarterback coming in,
Right.
it's not Aaron Rodgers. Because I
Yeah.
don't think he's going to do stuff to help McCarthy and by proxy the Vikings be better for the year or for the future.
I got you. I got you. I Lee, what say ye, man? What you got to say on this?
I can't blame him. I can't blame Doc. Um, Aaron Rodgers, he's selfish, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a selfish dude. Like any and everything that he's doing right now is all for self. Is all for him.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even really know what the motivation is anymore, right? Because on one hand, you probably would want to say, okay, let's try to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Okay. I could see why he would want to go to the Vikings. It's uncanny how, if he were to do that, it parallels almost verbatim, right?
Yeah.
Brett Favre's trajectory, like what he did, leaving uh, Green Bay, going to the Jets, and then, for a stopgap, and then, ending up going to the Vikings and almost going to the Super Bowl.
Right. Right.
I don't like what confuses me with Rodgers is that you can tell that the Minnesota Vikings, they don't need him.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they need him.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those scenarios where it's like, well, it's available. We have to think about it. They have to do that due diligence. I
Due
get that.
diligence. Yeah.
And they don't want to just slam the door shut. Okay.
Right.
But on the other hand, he had two teams who were going to give him whatever, not whatever, but basically they were going to pay him handsomely to join and play for next season, which were the New York Giants and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
Now, of course, it was reported yesterday Russell Wilson is now signed with the
With the
Giants,
Giants. Yeah.
and so his flexibility, him being Rodgers, is a little bit now distorted, right? He had basically the run of the show when it comes to free agency quarterback. He was basically negotiating the board.
Right.
What the Giants did, they were like, you know what? We're not playing the game. We're gonna get Russell and we're moving forward. They're probably gonna still draft a quarterback in this draft, and we're gonna talk, get into all of that.
Yeah.
But with Rodgers, it's like, dude, it's like you basically had all of these options. You had leverage
Right.
between those two teams.
Yeah.
Now you don't. Now Pittsburgh is basically the only show in town, and Pittsburgh still want him. And for whatever reason, he's still like in his mind, he's still holding on to the fantasy of, oh, I want to play with the Vikings, and I'm gonna wait till they definitively tell me no
Yeah.
before I make a decision. It to me, it just it's disillusional
Yeah.
and it's selfish.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm wondering if this does this have anything to do with the fact that, I mean, okay, he played for Green Bay. They're in the same division. Is he trying to get to the Vikings so that he can get back at Green Bay? I mean,
That's
is
what
it that kind of vibe?
That's what Favre did.
That's what it is.
That is the only, and no one can tell me different,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? The only reason Favre, because Favre didn't want to go to he didn't want to go to the Jets.
Right.
He wanted to go to the Vikings in the first
Straight.
place so he could get because I mean Green Bay they issued him out because
Right.
they had Rodgers. He wasn't ready to leave, so now he wanted to get back at him.
Right.
And
Right.
Favre
Right.
almost did that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Rodgers, I think, is the exact same thing.
Same thing.
It's the exact same thing.
That's crazy, man.
I don't know if it's a personality trait that because you can tell he and Favre they share it's very similar the way that they think and they
Right.
operate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's trying to get back to the Vikings because that's really the only team that is available for him to go to in order to get back at the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is with the Steelers and they got, like we talked about before, they got two hot-head receivers now, and no QB. If you throw Aaron Rodgers into the mix, boy, that's going to be a sideshow. I can't see. I don't know why the Steelers would even want Aaron Rodgers in this situation. I mean, there's some other QBs out there that I think you could pull in the fold for a year and try to make something happen. Or even as we talk about the draft, there may be even some guys in the draft that they can sort of start. I mean, I know you got the receivers and they may be thinking, hey, we want to win now, etc. But I don't know, man. I think Rodgers is, like you guys said, he's a headache.
No, you could even dust off Joe Flacco and bring him back and have at least a chance, right? But
Yeah.
when you think of Pittsburgh, when you think of blue collar, when you think of family and football, right?
Right.
Rodgers don't fit that.
No.
Like Rodgers does not fit the thought of what a Pittsburgh Steeler could and should be, right?
Right.
And so I'm imagining him dealing with Mike Tomlin and Tomlin being authoritarian. And then you got these two receivers, as you mentioned, hot-blooded, hot-headed receivers.
Yes,
And that
yes.
can quickly, very quickly blow up in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I don't think Rodgers at this stage of his career is good enough to elevate a team and take a team to a Super Bowl on his shoulders. So another reason why people want to come to Minnesota is there's talent on Minnesota. They've been to the playoffs. Like, hey, maybe with that I can fit in, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and get another ring, which I don't think he'd get in Pittsburgh on the AFC side, having to go through Kansas City and the LA Chargers and Baltimore and Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
And Cincinnati,
Yeah. 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 Not gonna work. Not gonna
plus or
work.
minus Houston. But yeah, I think that's at best a misfit, and at worst case scenario, a ticking time bomb that's waiting to go off.
It would
I'll
be
watch.
entertaining though.
I'll watch.
It would-
I'll watch.
it
But man,
Well, and the thing is too, it's Pittsburgh's own fault too for the situation that they're in.
It's crazy.
You had Justin Fields, you had Russell Wilson on your team.
Right.
You had them both. One could say, they didn't really show a lot of promise last year, enough, I guess, to move the needle. It was their first year there. We all know that with Fields particularly, he needs to be set up in a very specific type of system in order to really placate to his strengths.
Right.
And if you do that, he's exciting to watch. You're going to win a lot of games. But if you try to kind of pigeonhole him into a traditional style offense and a traditional scheme, you're not going to be able to maximize him to his fullest potential.
Yeah.
The problem is you have very few offensive coordinators and or offensive-minded head coaches who are sophisticated enough, innovative enough to be able to make that adjustments to accommodate his skill sets for the sake of winning games.
True. True.
Right? So
Yeah.
again, that's on Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Russell Wilson, I don't see how at this juncture how Russell Wilson is any different than Aaron Rodgers. I believe somebody put up a stat a while ago. This was like last week when they were comparing Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers going back 10, 11 years.
Right.
Stats are almost identical.
Mm.
The stats are almost identical.
Yeah.
Right? They were looking at completion percentage, looking at touchdowns, interceptions, looking at wins and losses, like almost like the identical quarterback. So why let Russell Wilson go?
Yeah.
If your plan was to try to get Aaron Rodgers, I don't understand letting Russell Wilson go. Might as well just stay right there. Now, if your plan is, oh, I'm looking to try to draft someone and we're looking towards the future, I would still keep Russell Wilson
Yeah.
as that veteran presence and then draft someone and then have him kind of learn the ropes through Russ.
Right. Yeah.
But as Doc said, you're not going to get that type of tutelage, that type of role model from Aaron Rodgers. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. I just think people are looking at the Aaron Rodgers of old of maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, and they and in their mind and they figuring, hey, he could do something for our team. And you guys are pinpoint spot on, man. But when it comes to his selfishness and that kind of thing. So, that remains to be seen. We'll see what Pittsburgh does, and we'll see where he ends up. So, all right. So switching gears a little bit. I know we was talking about quarterbacks. We got the draft is coming up very quickly. And we got some quarterbacks, right now, you got Tennessee picking first. And what I want to hear from you guys when you come talking about the QBs and what QBs are in the draft and where these guys are going to go. We already know, Cam Ward, Shador Sanders, we got everybody knows those two. Right, and where they're gonna go, and probably in the top 5 to 6 picks, they may fall in that range. I don't know, but what's you guys' thought process on, is Cam Ward number one? Looking at some of the film that I've seen online and watching them two actually practice together and throw the ball and the zip coming out, and then also film that you've seen, with Cam at Miami and Shador in Colorado. Like, how's this all going to shake out?
Doc, you wanna kick this one off, or you want me to start?
Let me go. So let's start. So, Cam Ward is the best college quarterback coming into the NFL this draft in terms of the potential to be a legitimate starting to franchise NFL quarterback. Like,
Wow.
if I was going to draft somebody, it would be Cam Ward, right? Like,
Yeah.
physical tools, has some experience, can make plays on platform, can make plays off platform, can evade the rush. Like, he's got skills, right?
Right.
I wouldn't take Shador in the top half of the first round, and I'm not sure he really should be drafted in the first round. Now,
Cool. What? Okay, I
and
gotta hear this, man. Let me hear this.
this I'm gonna go back to Tua Tagovailoa versus Jalen Hurts, right?
Okay.
This is a conversation me and Levon had a couple years, few years ago, and I
Yeah.
loved Tua. This boy could throw the rock, super accurate, and he was like, "Nah, man, Jalen Hurts will translate better." It's like, "What you talking about?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, like 20 years ago, nice pocket, right? You can throw in the pocket all day long, but today's
This is
Right.
Link's
NFL,
first time hearing this, by the way. This is Link's first time
Yeah.
hearing anything,
you know,
anything positive about Hurts.
yes,
I'm soaking all of this up.
right? Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Infinite story, right? And so it's like, hey, in today's NFL where you got the salary cap, you can't invest in the offensive line, you got faster rushers coming at the quarterback.
Mm.
Pretty much your quarterback either has to survive by one, being able to escape out the pocket when the rush is there and make throws off platform, or in your Tom Brady / Drew Brees scenario, process so quickly and get the ball out within a second and a half that the rush can't get them.
Mm.
So unless your quarterback has strong, fast feet, a rocket arm, or processes immensely quickly, he can't be a franchise quarterback. He's not going to be the one to be able to lift your team and put the team on his shoulders, right? And when you take a look at Shador, he's not rocket fast. He ain't got a rocket arm, and I don't think he processes stuff quickly enough to get the ball out in a second and a half. Now, can he be a legitimate starter? Yeah. Could he have a Kirk Cousins career? Yeah. Could he be a decent starter for a whole bunch of years? Yes. But Kirk
Mhm.
Cousins wasn't number 2, number 3 pick. He was a 4th rounder,
True.
right? So
True.
my thing is, if his ceiling is third, like the decent starter might get team to the playoffs, right?
Right.
On a team that didn't win the division, didn't win their conference, best record was 8-4, with the Heisman Trophy winner that he was throwing to,
Right.
not in the SEC. And he got Tom Brady on the cell phone, can call Tom Brady as is, right? So he's getting coaching, NFL level coaching
Right.
in
Right.
college. I don't know how much better he's going to get. Now, if he's got an amazing work ethic, I'll eat my words. But
Right. Yeah.
but I don't know how much better he's going to get. I mean, you translate it to the pros, it's good, it's adequate,
Yeah.
but I don't
Yeah.
think it's amazing. It's not Josh Allen. It's not Russell Wilson. It's not Russell Wilson is prime. It's not Lamar Jackson. It's not Joe Burrow. It's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not
Right.
making those
Right.
plays in college. He's
Yeah.
not Jalen Hurts in college. So why do we think he's going to be this amazing quarterback in the pros?
Hmm. That's a good point. Okay. I want to take you back to when you and Lee was talking about Jalen Hurts versus Tua,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody would have put. I mean, I think even Nick Saban. I watched Nick Saban. He was saying something. Who was his favorite Alabama players? The first player that came out of his mouth, one of the first players, obviously was Derrick Henry. But then the
Yep.
next was Tua Tagovailoa.
Yep.
So he had Tua as one of those players that was like high on his list, and he didn't have Jalen Hurts there.
Yep.
So for you guys to say Jalen Hurts was going to translate, and Lee to say Jalen Hurts was going to translate better to the NFL, man, that's profound. So, like with the how Nick Saban was talking about Tua, and he put Tua over Jalen Hurts. I mean, like I said, the top players that came out of his mouth, he said Derrick Henry, then he said Tua, and for you, Lee, to have the insight, you and Doc was talking to say Jalen Hurts was going to be a better quarterback than Tua. Man,
Yeah.
that's some serious insight. So that's why I'm interested to see now. This is my argument against that. Real quick, Doc, is that Shador Sanders. And prove me wrong on this. So Shador Sanders, I know you say don't have the foot speed, don't have the arm speed, the arm strength, or quick the quick processing like Tom Brady would have to be able to make these quick decisions to get the ball out really quickly. Okay, so if he don't have those intangibles, where I put him is one of those players. When you say Jalen Hurts, maybe he doesn't have those intangibles to get out of the pocket like Jalen Hurts. However, when him with his dad and his pedigree and his work ethic, and also I think he works with Tom Brady now as a coach. Tom Brady is coaching him. I think at some point, or he got something, working with Tom Brady. If I'm wrong, correct me
No,
on that.
you did. You're right.
So
You did.
how I mean, I would put him up there. I would bet on him and put him up there to the top. But you telling me otherwise?
So when you take, there's a whole bunch of players that'll go to Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, right? Doing really good, not freaks of nature, and then they go to pros and they're like average.
Right.
In college, they're getting NFL caliber training, diet, exercise, coaching at those institutions. And then you have some random guy at some random school and he jumps to the pros and he blows up like 2 years in.
Right.
I was like, where'd this happen?
Right.
Because now when he was at Boise State, when he was at Central Michigan, and now he gets like NFL level coaching, NFL level diet, all day to train. Like, this is amazing, right?
Right.
But you got Shador with a Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame player, mentoring him, with another Hall of Fame player mentoring him in college.
Right.
So what's the step up when he gets to the pros? Because he doesn't get pro level coaching. He got a pro level diet. He got a pro level trainer. He got a pro level sleep regimen going as is, right?
Right.
The other thing to realize about someone like a Shador Sanders is that when you take a look at him playing, yes, he stands in the pocket and he'll make the throw. He'll take the hit. Like from a vintage quarterback, I like him. 20 years ago, oh yeah, I drafted him in the first round because we could put him to the offensive line and he'd be Phil Simms. He'll be Mark Rippon, right? But nowadays, when you look at the quarterbacks you want on your team, right? Like Pro Bowl quarterbacks. We're talking now number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 pick in the draft.
Right.
All these Pro Bowl quarterbacks either have great legs, a super accurate strong arm, like a Stafford or a Joe Burrow. And we don't have the Tom Brady's anymore, but the Tom Brady's or the Drew Brees. Now, getting back to Tua would have been a Drew Brees-like if there was an offensive line for him.
I got you.
When Tua can stand and throw, he'll pick you apart all day long.
Right.
But he didn't have an offensive line, which leads to the concussions and that whole thing.
Right.
So when you look at Jalen's able to make throws and escape from the pocket and use his legs to extend drives. Right? Now, Jalen's different than most of your typical running quarterbacks coming out of college because when he went to Oklahoma, he was throwing the ball at Oklahoma. And that should have been the clue that the dude could actually throw. Right? Right? But you see it with Jalen Hurts. You've seen it with Colin Kaepernick. You see it with Lamar Jackson, to some degree with Josh Allen. These mobile quarterbacks can make play, and I'm going to be, don't forget Patrick Mahomes and to some degree Dak Prescott before Dak got his injuries. These guys can make plays with their feet, extend the drive, and make throws, right? And that's not Shador's game. So if he gets to a team, bottom half of the draft that has a decent assortment of players and a decent line, he may do well. But you put him in, top 5 pick. Usually those teams don't have a good offensive line. Not that he's going to go to Carolina, but he gets drafted by Carolina.
Right.
I don't know how much better he does than Bryce Young.
I know if you put him with the Giants, he probably gonna die there because that line is atrocious.
That's why they got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. He gonna sit for at least a year
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
learn what he got to learn, and then they're going to be doing some draft, some acquisitions, some trades, some free agent sign-ins to try to get a decent offensive line so he doesn't get destroyed
yeah,
trying to play and they don't kill his confidence,
yeah.
which is
Wow.
going to be hard to do because he's a Sanders. But you get my point.
Yeah, man. That's some insight there, man. I see. That's why I gotta. That's why you guys, man, Doc. That's some serious thought process on that and how and real quickly before you go, uh, I when you were saying that, I was looking at Shador in my head and looking at some of his games at Colorado, and you are right. He does not have that quick foot speed to get out. I mean, I've seen him roll out. You have plays where that designed for him to roll right, roll left, that kind of thing. But escaping, like a Lamar Jackson or even a Patrick Mahomes that's kind of shifty, that could kind of shift his way through. Boy, it's that's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna be really looking for this, looking to see Lee. Your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, Doc basically he said everything I was going to say on that subject matter.
Yeah,
But let me see if I could pull out a few extra nuggets here. Uh, and this is going to be a heavy Shador Sanders segment, I guess, because
yeah.
I don't see it, right?
You don't see it,
I don't see him being one the second best quarterback in this class.
yeah,
Definitely don't see him being drafted in the first round, right?
yeah.
But let's take that first argument. I don't even think he's the second best quarterback in this draft,
Ooh, okay,
right?
okay,
Um, we talk about pedigree. When we talk
right,
about pedigree, we talk about players that come from a lineage, right, from other like really well-renowned players, right? And that younger player, through that pedigree, also has athletic traits that are similar to, right, the person that came before him
right.
or her. Tell me, what does Shador Sanders do that reminds you of Deion Sanders?
Yeah, I don't see it. Actually, none of his sons do. None of them.
None of them inherited his physical
Yeah,
gifts.
yeah,
And when I say inherit, I'm not saying that they had to be as gifted as him,
right.
but to show at least some resemblance of it.
Yeah, yeah. That dude had some speed, man. That was that. I mean, I
I
I I, I don't see it. Yeah,
Right, like you don't see Shador Sanders running away from anyone.
no,
You don't see him, and not to say that you have to. I know he's a traditional quarterback, and everything Doc said in terms of the what was given to him from a training perspective. He was groomed basically to be in this position from when he was a kid. He
hmm,
had the best of the best of the best of everything when it comes to uh, intangibles from a football perspective, coaching, knowledge, right? Everything.
right.
Hall of Fame dad. His dad was his coach all throughout his career up until this point.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's another thing too. This is going to be basically the first time he's not going to be coached by his dad.
By his dad. Yeah,
What does that look like?
yeah,
Right? So with all that being said, and then on top of all of this, I heard some pundits say something along the lines of they like Shador Sanders because you go into the NFL and you're gonna get hit, you're gonna take these hits, and he's shown that he's tough, right? And I'm like, okay, he's shown that he's tough because he got hit a lot, and I'm like, okay, why did he get hit a lot? He led the nation in sacks last year.
yeah,
The year before, he also led the nation in sacks. Dion, his dad, his coach, made it a point between the 2 seasons ago and last season to try to shore up the offensive line.
yeah,
He put an emphasis on that so that Shador Sanders could take less hits. He saw his son taking all these sacks,
yeah,
and he still ended up leading the nation in sacks.
yeah.
So in my mind, that's not an offensive line problem. That's a
Mm,
you problem. That's a
mm,
quarterback problem because I don't care how great your offensive line is, if the quarterback isn't getting rid of the ball,
right.
you can't hold on to a block for more than 3 seconds.
Yeah,
Three is a lot.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
lifetime
yeah.
for an
That,
offensive lineman to hold a block.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's two and a
And
half.
this guy, he's sitting back there drifting backwards, right? And trying to wait till somebody gets open because he isn't processing before the snap where he's
Right.
going to go with the ball.
Yeah.
Take into consideration, you want to draft a quarterback in the first round, and he wasn't even the best player on the offensive side of the ball.
Hmm.
Right? You had the Heisman Trophy winner on your team,
Yeah.
who
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
basically had to play offense to help you out because his natural position is cornerback.
Cornerback. Yeah.
So you take all that in consideration, not the best player on your team. You take a whole lot of sacks, right? You're not fleet of foot. You're not processing before the play. You don't have a strong arm.
Right.
You're accurate. Okay, kudos to you. You're accurate, but
Mm-hmm.
that's about it. So now, how does that translate over into the pros? I would grade Tua better than him, and I didn't really think that much of Tua because I thought Tua coming in, he had to be put in a specific offense in order for him to succeed. And
Right.
thankfully for him, right, McDaniels was able to come in and be his coach and resurrect his career.
Yeah. Wow.
Right. So now you take Shador Sanders, you can't just put him anywhere and expect him. He's not a franchise quarterback.
Mm.
Can he
That's
be a
heavy.
good quarterback? Yes. Can he be a Kirk Cousins? Yes. But he's going to need a lot of help. He's
Yeah.
going to need a sturdy line. He's going to need a strong run support and at least a type 1A wide receiver for him
Mm.
to rely on.
Yeah. So,
That's not a first round quarterback to me.
so that's a good point. So we're gonna move off Shador in a second, but I want to ask both of you guys this question when it comes to Shador. So with what you guys just said, who's the perfect team for him?
So
I could tell you. No, go ahead, Doc.
go ahead, Lee.
Detroit.
Detroit.
Hmm.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Right? Strong emphasis on making sure that you always have a consistent, strong offensive line.
Yeah.
Emphasis on running the ball, play action.
Yeah.
Right? That's the type of offense he would need. Now, I know they lost their offensive coordinator. I don't know if that's going to remain their identity, but knowing
Right.
the coach, those are
Right.
his staples. He demands an offensive line, right, to protect that quarterback. He
Right.
demands to have a strong run game.
Yeah.
And I would assume that the next guy coming in, they're going to use the heck out of that play action because their current quarterback is kind of similar in terms of his physical athletic traits to Shador Sanders, even though
Mm.
I think even with Goff over time has been
Right.
able to develop a little bit quick. He's been able to develop a quicker processing in terms of understanding the defense before the snap plays
Right.
out.
Right. Yeah.
But Shador, if he's going to go somewhere where they're going to protect him, mask his weaknesses, accentuate his strengths, it'll have to be a team like Detroit.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
You're gonna have to be run first, and you got to be good with the run.
Yeah.
The run has to be a threat
Yeah.
in order
Yeah.
for him to be able to be successful.
Wow. All right. All
From
right, Doc, what you got?
from a roster standpoint, 100% agree with you. I think from a coaching standpoint, because the thought I was going to say was going to be the Washington Commanders, and it's not from necessarily a talent standpoint on the roster, but the coaching philosophy that you got Kingsbury, who we can tell will morph the offense that he calls to fit your strengths, ease you in, call stuff that you like. And because of the head coach, it's going to be, hey, we're going to have the defense really kind of carry the team. We're not putting it on you to light up the scoreboard, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So kind of ease him in what he can do, what he can't do. But to Levan's point, Washington Commanders aren't really a run first team, and they don't have a super strong offensive line. So he's
Right.
going to take some hits, right? Yeah, he
Right.
can take hits, but the offense isn't going to be, even with the new acquisition, it's not going to be as dynamic as it currently is with their current quarterback. So,
Right.
but we're talking about two teams that already have their quarterback that they're happy with, right?
Yeah. That's right.
And so for the few teams looking for somebody, they
Boy.
don't have great offensive lines.
Boy.
Yeah.
That. Go ahead, Lee.
No, I was gonna say I get where you're coming from in that, but permit me to just challenge you a little bit on that, right? Because I really I understand what you're saying. But when you say him, because we know Cliff, he's definitely going to modify the offense. He's shown
Yeah.
that he's shown it
Yeah.
to accentuate your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
What strength can he accentuate enough for Shador to help you win games?
Mm.
Right? I don't know, because without that strong run support, because again, they don't have a strong run game.
No, they don't.
The offensive line is not that great. It's just that Jaden Daniels is that quick,
Yeah.
right? With getting that ball out.
Yeah.
He's decisive. He gets it out, and he's deathly accurate.
Yeah.
Shador is not as accurate as Daniels.
Yeah.
Not even close, especially
Not deep.
with the short to median and long. He's on all three levels. He's accurate. Daniels is.
Yeah.
Okay. So he
And
has
Daniels
all,
runs.
and right, we're not even
And he
look,
can run.
we're
Yeah.
not even talking about the mobility.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I'm not even, that wouldn't even be fair to compare
Yeah.
them to if you're going to add that to the equation. I'm just looking at throwing the ball here. Okay.
Yep.
So you take that and you put that into a vacuum and you compare them, and then you tell Cliff, hey, script together a game plan for this guy, right? We don't want to just be okay. We want him to help us win games with this roster.
Yeah.
Shador can't do that in Washington.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not with the roster Daniels had last year.
Right. Right. Right.
We-
Yeah.
We saying the same thing.
Yeah, yeah,
It-
yeah.
He just wouldn't be thrown to the Lions in Washington. They would.
Not making that
No pun
far.
intended. No pun intended. Right? Like,
Yeah.
at least in Washington, they would do their best to try to make him look decent until folks started getting frustrated that they ain't winning games. But I do agree with you in terms of like what roster is there currently where, hey, that would be the best roster for him to become the starting quarterback to try to minimize his deficiencies. Yeah, it'd be Detroit.
So
Right.
okay. So
Hey, with the second being Philadelphia for the exact same reasons.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Philly would be a good, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a good.
I could see that. I could see that. So, okay, Lee, you mentioned Shador Sanders isn't even the second best quarterback, in the draft. So
No.
who is?
To me, I mean, I got two I would put over him,
Yeah.
right? Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss,
Okay.
right? He would be my second guy.
Okay.
And then after him would be Riley Leonard from Notre Dame,
Who?
right? I would pick those two guys up before Shador. Not
Yeah.
necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily pick them in the first round.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It would be like second round guys. Shador to me is more like a third, fourth round.
You drop him that low?
Yeah.
What?
Okay,
Third, fourth?
check this out.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson was a fourth round pick.
Okay. Okay.
Dak
Okay.
Prescott, right, was a
Yeah.
fourth round pick,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? What they did, I don't see Shador Sanders
Kirk
doing
Cousins,
anything.
Fourth
Kirk
round.
Cousins was a fourth round pick.
Okay. Okay.
I don't
Okay.
see
Okay.
I don't see Shador Sanders doing anything in college
Yeah.
above and beyond what they did when they were in college.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that means one of these teams, because Shador Sanders is going to go in the first round.
Yeah.
Yep.
So one of these teams, whoever picks Shador Sanders, you telling me they screwed? They made the wrong decision
Yeah. In the first round?
in the first round.
Yeah.
Because somebody, I honestly believe, in this first 10 picks, Shador Sanders is going to go.
Yeah.
And I want to see who that. I got to see this.
It
I
may
gotta see this play
it
out.
may be the Giants. It may still be the Giants.
That may be the Giants. Yeah.
They
That
done,
may be the Giants.
you know who that GM is, right? We all know who that GM.
He should start listening to his son, man. He should start listening to his son because they would have had Jaden Daniels.
But one more thing about Shador, and I'll get off of it, right?
Yeah.
One of the problems I have, the biggest problem I have with him too, is the lack of self-awareness, right?
Okay.
I can understand if you were uber talented,
Yeah.
and then you can dismiss the criticism, you could dismiss the feedback that people are giving to you, some of the things that they feel that you're deficient in.
Right.
His response is, "Oh, I don't like he putting on his, what Puffy used to say back in the day. They play a haters, right? They hating me.
Yeah, yeah,
But he's
yeah,
like, no, I put my blinders on to the haters. I dismiss them. I don't worry about them. And I get that. I get not letting negative feedback deter you and impact you. I get it.
yeah,
But when you're talking to the media, right? And you're giving feedback on a true assessment that's been levied against you.
right.
What I want to hear is, what are you going to do to mitigate it?
Mm,
What are you going to do to correct it? One, were they wrong?
right.
No, the majority of them weren't. They were correct assessments. You take too many sacks,
Yeah,
right? You're not that fleet of foot in the pocket, right? You don't
yeah,
process as quickly as you should pre-snap. Those are accurate assessments.
yeah, yeah,
Your response can be, "Oh, I'm putting my blinders on to the hate." That's not hating.
right.
That's evaluation. Now,
Yeah,
what are you going to do to correct those things when you get to the pros?
yeah,
My problem with him is that he already has everything given to him, right? I don't know if he's going to have the proper work ethic to be able to go above and beyond and raise his ceiling. Because the
mm,
ceiling to me is already low.
yeah,
What are you going to do to raise it to get better? Because even if you come in season one and you
yeah,
become successful, the opponents have footage on you, right? They're going to
right.
craft the defense to
Yeah,
to 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 exploit your weaknesses.
yeah,
You're going to have to level up.
yep, yep,
He hasn't shown even in college that he's going to level up and diminish his deficiencies, because he's been taking sack after sack after sack after sack. That hasn't changed,
right,
and your team hasn't been winning, not winning to the point where you're threatening to be a national contender,
right, right.
right? So
Yeah,
you're a mediocre team, right? Yeah, you're putting up some touchdowns, but you're not doing what you need to do to get your team to a status where they are able to make it to the playoffs.
wow. Yeah, yeah. My,
So I don't see how he's going to do that in the NFL when
yeah,
you have your like everything given to you
right, right, right.
to be
He,
successful.
he has had a lot. I want to hear from you and Doc on this. With like, okay, so you say Jackson Dart,
Hmm.
and then you say Riley Leonard,
Hmm.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Now, Riley didn't have a good national championship, or playoff game
Right.
games. Um, Now, I give me his intangibles. Like I know from what I've seen, he's a big dude. He
Yeah.
is he's huge. Is he like what 6'4", 6? What is he? Because I know when I was just looking on when I was watching the game and I saw him online, I know he was he looked like he was pretty big.
Yeah.
So
He's 6'4", 200,
okay,
18, 220 pounds.
okay, yeah,
He's a full-fledged senior. He had some pretty good reps. He's played the position. I think between his sophomore and junior year, he had an ankle injury that took him out for a couple of games.
yeah,
But I mean, it's interesting. It's funny that you say, okay, so he didn't have a good playoff game, but he got his team to the playoffs, right?
yeah,
Which
yeah,
Shador could not do,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Okay, I got you.
That for one. But I think you have to also understand with Notre Dame, the way that offense was constructed, it didn't placate to an explosive style of offense.
Yeah,
They were a run first team.
yeah,
They
yeah,
were
Chains.
pro style,
Move the chain.
grinded out, smash mouth football.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he basically had to play within the confines of that offense.
Right.
What I'm saying is his intangibles, his skill sets, his ability to throw. Because I think the team he played for, was it Kentucky or Duke
Before that,
or before that, one of those teams. He can sling it,
yeah,
right? He has a powerful arm, right? He's accurate. He can sometimes be erratic, but I mean, a lot of college quarterbacks early in their career, they're like that. People
right,
forget
right,
the year before Jaden Daniels, his junior year, he only threw 17 touchdowns. His senior year is when he exploded,
right, 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 right,
right?
right, right.
So I think, well, all I'm saying is I think Riley Leonard's ceiling, his potential to be a pro style quarterback in the NFL is a lot higher than Shador's.
Mm, yeah, yeah. So I can see that. Um, like I said, when I was watching Notre Dame in that game, I could see he had some skills. Again, I don't watch much college football. That's why I'm leaning on you guys. I'm a playoff. I'm a playoff college football watcher, so I'm a bandwagoner. When it comes to college football, but but I saw him and I was like, man, this kid this is a big kid. I mean, he looked like he really could stand in the pocket and really, make some throws and I know he had a bad game. So, you know, Doc, what's your take on like, you know, these quarterbacks coming out in the draft, Riley Leonard,
Yeah.
Jackson Dart,
And
what's your
let me make a comment about Riley Leonard because I wasn't expecting you to say it. That's like, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good pick,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Not quite as fast as Colin Kaepernick, not quite as strong as Jalen Hurts, not as strong of an arm as Josh Allen. But you could put Riley Leonard in any of those offenses with those players have played in,
yeah.
and he'd be a decent fit, right?
Hmm.
He can make throws. He can do the hard 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1 quarterback sneak, quarterback draw. He can keep plays going with his feet, right? And I
Yeah,
think that's the aspect to Riley Leonard that makes him transition to the pros and the potential in the pros much higher than the Shador Sanders potential in the pros, right? Um, I would probably go, yeah, I would actually go Jackson Dart, and then I actually was thinking Jalen Milrow. I like Jalen Milrow.
I,
Um,
I, I got something to say about that. Yeah.
that's
so
okay. Okay, yeah, okay,
Say about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
go ahead.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. So let me touch on Jackson Dart first, right? Because I
Yeah.
didn't really give my synopsis on him. So Jackson Dart, he led the nation in passing yards, right? People
Okay.
they don't really talk much
They
about
don't
him.
talk about that, right?
No, he led he's a two sport guy. Okay, he plays football, but he has a strong baseball background too.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I like my quarterbacks when they have some baseball pedigree in them. He is also a quarterback that can throw different slot angles, right? He gets the ball out, he gets it out accurately. His throwing motion is unorthodox at times, but it can get he can get the ball where it needs to go,
Right.
and he's accurate down the field. He has enough wiggle, enough mobility to get out of trouble. Doesn't take that many sacks. I think his touchdown to interception. His touchdown wasn't like it wasn't off the charts. I think he had like 29 touchdowns,
Mm.
only 6 interceptions. So he knows how to take care of the ball. So I think, like I said, I think he has shown enough, and I think he has about 4 years
Right.
in playing in college. So he's had enough reps to
Yeah.
be able to come in and I think really if I would hold off on trying to start him his rookie season,
Yeah.
uh, but I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in his rookie season, depending on the team, depending on the coach, he gets the call to
You
come in
get
and
some.
play and
I
do
get.
pretty well.
Yeah.
Jalen Milrow,
Huh.
right? He is a lighter version of Lamar Jackson.
Mm.
Okay, I would say he is the most athletically gifted quarterback in this draft. Speed, uh, wiggle, quick twitch, movements. He has a lot of untapped athleticism and
Right.
potential that I think was not really maximized at Alabama. Uh, he, I think, would have to learn how to really sit in the pocket and throw the ball. And it took Lamar a couple of seasons to be able to do it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he would have to go somewhere and he would have to be properly groomed, properly coached, properly nurtured. Again, just the same way Baltimore did with Lamar for him to really tap into that potential. The only problem with that is not a lot of teams out there has the I don't want to say anything
Want that talent.
disparaging, but It's not even really time because you don't have to invest a first round pick in him.
Right. That's true.
I think he's going to fall probably to the third round,
Yeah.
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 right? So if
Yeah.
you get him in the third round, there's no pressure on you to start him.
Right. Yeah.
You just have to groom him properly. Tennessee had this quarterback Malik Willis a
Yep.
couple of seasons. I watched Malik when he was playing at Liberty, and I'm like,
Right.
this dude is good.
Right.
He goes to Tennessee, they don't know what to do with him.
Right.
He goes to Green Bay. Jordan Love gets hurt week 1. He
Right.
comes in and he's winning games.
You win it.
2
Yeah.
weeks
Because
in.
Green
2 weeks in.
2 weeks in, 2 weeks
Right.
in,
Right.
because he knows how Green Bay knows how to coach up their quarterbacks.
Right. Yeah.
It's just you have the Green Bays, you have Baltimore is able to do it. I think the Rams can do it, right? There's just not a
Minnesota
lot
now.
of teams out there.
Minnesota now.
Minnesota now, correct? Minnesota now, they could do it. Cliff Kingsbury, Washington, he could do it.
Yeah.
But
Amen.
that's about it.
Yeah.
That's about it. Now people say, well, what about the Niners? They got Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is a great offensive mind, but his offense is complicated.
Yeah,
Yes,
very-
Brock Purdy was
very-
able to come in and take a hold of it, but he is a rarity. Like Brock Purdy, as a rookie, to come in and understand the concepts of that offense
Yeah.
is impressive.
Yeah.
You saw what it did to Trey Lance,
Yeah. We know.
right?
Yeah.
He couldn't do it. So so like I said, just real quick. So,
Played under Purdy for that 1 year, and then do it in Minnesota. That's why, to get to Purdy and how he studies to learn the intricate offense. Sam
Right.
Darnold wasn't
Right.
Sam Darnold until he spent a year under Purdy in San Francisco, and then Minnesota.
even though he's Purdy senior,
even though he's
Right.
Purdy senior,
right?
yeah.
Purdy just had this knack of really investing into the
Yeah.
grind of preparing.
Yeah.
So he went above and beyond to really hone and learn that offense,
Yeah.
which is why he was able to maximize it at such an early stage in his career.
Yeah.
Where even Sam Darnold, being a couple of seasons in, he wasn't able to do it when he got there.
Yeah. And
So-
then when you look at the guy that's Mr. Irrelevant, right? Coming in, there's no pressure on you. But he also wanted to prove something to people that look, if I get in this game, it's gonna be on.
Mhm.
It's gonna be on. So I could see that. So here's something I want to. I'm looking on Yahoo Sports right now. 2025 NFL Draft top 10 quarterback prospects. Number 1, Cam Ward. Right. Number 2, they have Shador Sanders. I guess everybody just putting him there just because. Number 3, they have Tyler Show from Louisville. Number 4, they have Jackson Dart. Number 5, Jalen Milrow. Number 6, Kyle McCord from Syracuse. Number 7, they have Will Howard from Ohio State. Number 8, Quinn Ewers from Texas. Number 9, Riley Leonard. And number 10, Dylan Gabriel from Oregon.
So Tyler Show, I talked about him during our last segment.
Yes, you did.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm remiss not to have talked about him in this one, but yeah, he's another quarterback I would put over Shador.
Over Shador.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So on that list, if I was drafting and I was evaluating,
yeah.
it'd be Cam Ward, right? Jackson Dart. I'd probably put Tyler Shuck over Riley Leonard.
Dan Milrow
Jalen Milrow.
or Shador.
Hold on. Right. Well, see, Milrow is a risk,
Okay. Okay.
right? He's a risk.
Yeah.
I think I would insert,
You got Will
Shador.
Howard. You got Quinn Ewers.
you know what? I would put McCord,
Right.
then Shador, then Will Howard,
Okay.
and then Ewers.
And then Ewers.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting, man. I want to see this is going to be good because okay, so in this draft, if you look at the teams like some of these guys, like the Riley Leonards, the Quinn Ewers, Will Howard, Kyle McCord, Jalen Milrow, if they fall, like you say, they may go in the third round, right? They may go in the third round because people may start getting into picking. You got your O line, your D line, then they going in the trenches. You may have your couple quarterbacks go first, and then you may have some tight ends and that kind of thing, and some safeties, and so they could drop to the third, fourth round. That means if they drop down in to a team that is already solid and have a nice O line, and they have a QB that's there that is successful, but barring injuries or something like that, they could end up in a really good situation, where they're with some pretty solid teams if they drop down, later down in the draft. So for my thing, what I want to find out from you guys, I know we mentioned Jalen Milrow, right? So he's another guy, another Alabama guy. He didn't have a really good showing in the what's the college showcase? What's the where
Senior
those
Bowl? Was it the
Senior Bowl?
Yeah.
I watched his Senior Bowl performance, and I was kind of embarrassed for him.
Mhm.
Now I know different receivers run different routes and and all that, but boy, he didn't look good. He did not look good in the Senior Bowl at all.
Mhm.
So with that, like you said, he may need some coaching, and he's somebody's gonna be to coach him up. So would a team like let's see, would a team like I'm trying to be realistic here because
Yeah.
I know he's not gonna go to. Well, maybe he could go to Baltimore and be a backup on
In the
behind.
third, fourth, or fifth.
Good.
Yep.
He
Good.
could go to Baltimore and be a backup.
Yep.
Huh? That so like again, what's a team? I'm thinking Baltimore, but what's a team that he could go to that he could kind of maybe Dallas. I don't know.
Oh God, no, no,
God, no. No.
no,
No, man. No.
no. So,
They don't have
They'll
the
ruin him.
they don't have the
Yeah,
resources, they don't have the coaching staff, they don't have the
yeah,
ingenuity or the innovative or
there we
the
go.
innovation, right, to be able
yeah,
to handle someone like him.
yeah,
Conservative
Uh,
play calling. Yep.
no.
Yep.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So the way I kind of think about it with the quarterbacks coming out, well, quarterbacks in general, but especially in this situation, is there's one guy who really shouldn't flub, right? And that's Cam Ward, right? Like, depending on the team, blah blah blah, but like his floor should be high and his
Yeah,
ceiling, who knows, right?
yeah,
There's a bunch of guys, your Gabriels, your McCords, your Ewers, and I'll put Shador in that mix where there should be really good backups to decent starters, but they're not franchise quarterbacks.
mhm. Okay.
I'm gonna put Dart a little bit below Cam Ward, but in the I think he has a decent floor and a really good ceiling, and a bunch of the other guys,
Yeah,
the your Leonard, your Milrow, Shaw, um, it's like they are they're risks, they're gambles, they're projects. You gotta sit them for a year, two, bring them along, tailor the offense to them. But if you do, they can be Pro Bowl quarterbacks.
hmm. Yeah,
But
yeah,
they got to fall on the right team, where the team is willing to actually contour the offense to highlight their strengths and
right.
eliminate their negatives, minimize the
Yeah,
negatives. Right.
yeah, yeah. Man,
Um.
I go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, uh, take. And I'm going to go back several years, right? But take Colin Kaepernick at Nevada, right?
Mm,
Where dude's running up and down the field, lanky legs, right? Making
right,
making decent throws, and it's like he goes to San Francisco, gets Jim Harbaugh, who knows how to coach,
right.
and they call plays that accentuates his
And
positives
fit.
and
Yeah,
minimize the
yeah,
negative. And he takes the team
right.
to Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
when you have coaches who just know how to coach,
Right.
Belichick's no longer in the league, so that's one guy out, right? So it's like it's your Harbaughs, right? It's McVay, O'Connell, who's descendant of McVay, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then it starts getting dicey about guys who are going to actually like your OCs and or head coaches who are going to actually contour the offense to fit what needs to be
Yeah.
done, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it it's certain OCs and it's certain head coaches. There's like the same way you have chefs and general manager like of restaurants, right? This is what I
Right.
cook,
Yeah.
and no
Yeah.
matter what
Yeah.
you give me, this is what I'm cooking.
This is
And if
what.
it
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
taste good, I need better ingredients.
Mm,
And there's
yeah.
some coaches where what you give them, they gonna make the best based on what you get,
Right.
right?
Yeah. That's
Like we
true.
haven't seen this before, I know, but that's what I got. So we put it together, and that's amazing, right?
Right. Right. Right.
And those are coaches, right?
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
schemes,
Yeah.
or yeah.
They are rare. So what you guys are telling me tonight, what you guys are telling me is there is only one franchise quarterback in this draft, and that's Cam Ward. That's what you're telling me.
First round pick, yeah.
Yeah.
First round pick, franchise quarterback. You the GM, franchise quarterback. We need to get it right. Cam Ward is the only one out of those QBs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
All right. This is
Oh,
good. I want to see what Tennessee is going to do.
no, but here's a fun one. If Cam Ward came out last year,
Yeah.
who would you pick ahead of him?
Shoot.
Because I definitely
And
would put
depending
ahead of
on
him. I would have put
the-
Jaden Daniels ahead of him.
Say what?
I mean,
Would you pick who?
Ahead of him.
Jaden Daniels.
So if Cam Ward came out last year, I think he would have been the third quarterback taken.
Over Drake May?
Yeah. Well, the bias there, right? Yeah, let's not go there. I would have him rated as the third quarterback, right? So it'd be Caleb, Jaden, Jaden, Cam, Drake,
Then Penix.
JJ.
Or JJ, then
Well,
Penix. No, it was just to
that's a
kind of
push.
no.
That's a push. Yeah, but yeah,
It was just to illustrate the fact that this guy, who seems to be the number one pick this season,
Right.
would have been at best third, if not fourth pick
Yeah.
last season.
last year,
Last season. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
then
would have
the
been
other,
picked fourth.
and the
He would have been picked
consideration,
fourth.
but and then the other folks under consideration
Yeah.
wouldn't have made the top 12, in the top 12, six in the top 12,
Mm.
right? And therefore it's
Man,
like, yeah, but there's a dearth, so someone's got a name, so he's getting bumped up.
Well, let me tell you this: Dion was quoted last season
Mhm.
because Shador he was eligible to go into the draft.
Right. Right.
Dion literally said he didn't want Shador to go in because he didn't want him to play second fiddle to Caleb.
Wow.
He knew Caleb was better than
He knew
Shador.
it. Yeah.
He knew
Yeah.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
anyone with eyes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But Caleb, I mean, Shador wouldn't have. Oh my God, Shador. Yeah, he. I don't even know if he'd be a mid-round pick last year.
Wow. Man.
He'd be a mid-round pick.
Let me tell you this. So with
That's the
Jaden
point,
Daniels, right?
right?
With Jaden Daniels, I think another reason why he is successful. The Commanders are doing some things that I don't know many other organizations are doing. I don't know. You guys tell me. You may have some other insight, but with the virtual reality training that he's been utilizing. They said from the time they drafted him, he has been using these virtual VR goggles or whatever it is with the playbook loaded in with different snaps and he's been immersed in this since he got drafted. I think that really helped him out. So having the right, I think he have the intangibles, but having the right coaches and the right people around you. If he would have went to Dallas, this wasn't going to happen.
No.
For Jaden Daniels. He had to have the right environment, and it was just the right environment for him to be in. with the new coach. If Dan Snyder was still the owner
Okay.
of the Commanders, this wasn't going to happen. This wasn't going to happen.
Right.
So he was in the right place
So
at the right time.
Definitely the right place at the right time. Absolutely agree. But he's also one of those players where it didn't have to be the perfect environment,
Mm,
right?
yeah,
All he needed was a healthy environment.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying? That's
yeah.
all he needed. Now, there are other players where they have to be put in the perfect
Perfect.
environment,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But he just happened to be like it Washington doubled down. They were both healthy
Mm,
and they were really, really specific on making sure that he got what he needed in order to be as successful as soon as possible,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you put Jaden Daniels with uh, you know, you put him with like a team, and I'm just throwing teams out there, not considering the quarterbacks that they have now,
Right.
right? You put Jaden Daniels with the Vikings,
Yeah,
right? You put Jaden Daniels with a team like the Rams,
yeah,
right? You put Jaden Daniels with a team like Detroit,
yeah.
right? All of these healthy organizations,
Pittsburgh, Green Bay.
Pittsburgh, Green Bay,
Yep.
right? He would do exactly what he's doing with Washington with those
Mm,
teams.
mm. Okay, okay. Man, that's some
Versus
that.
the Jets. I'll say it.
Right.
Versus the Jets.
I would say this, in as much as this team was neither perfect nor healthy, but if you had put Jaden Daniels with the Chicago Bears,
Ooh, you
they would
might
have
be
fared
put.
a little bit better with
A
him,
little bit.
a little bit better
Yep.
Ooh,
than with
you
Caleb.
you know they don't have a line now.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Caleb is he holds on to the ball.
He
Too
holds
much.
on to the ball. Yeah.
I don't
Hero
know.
ball.
I don't I
Hero
can't
ball.
links. I can't necessarily say that it was a line issue.
Hmm.
When you holding on the ball, and
Yeah, that's true.
that was uh you know that was a comment made about him when he was with USC in college.
Right.
He held on to the ball longer than any other quarterback in the
Yeah.
nation.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
comes into the NFL and he does the same thing.
Same thing.
He's so athletically gifted in terms of being able to extend plays. He doesn't spend a lot of time trying to process pre-snap.
Right. Right.
He doesn't play in rhythm, right? He doesn't get the ball out quickly. He holds on to the ball and he just makes magic happen
Yeah.
and then makes a great play and then ooh wow, right?
Yeah.
Which I
Yeah.
mean it's
Yeah.
exciting to see,
Right.
but for longevity and for consistency, that's not a recipe for success. Now, hopefully for their sake,
Hmm.
their new coach is gonna be able to coach him out of it. But me and Doc, we talk about this. When you have these players where this is what they've been doing their entire career, it's won him a Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
It's gotten him the first overall pick.
Yeah.
Why do I need to change? We'll see.
If you want to be around long.
If you look at the breakdown of Jaden Daniels' first game with the Washington Commanders,
Yeah.
like every pass was like within the first 10 yards. Every pass was out within like a second and a half.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ball out. Just want to give him some confidence. Let him know he can play in the league, right?
Yeah.
Kingsbury
Yeah.
deliberately designed that game to boost this kid's confidence. He
Mm-hmm.
ain't taking no sacks. He ain't throwing no picks. Super conservative. And then dude just started balling. He's like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
Right.
The
Yeah.
question is, if that had been Caleb Williams, would he have thrown those short passes, the dinks and dunks, to get the confidence, or would he have gone and then the hero ball and rolling out and trying to make plays like he was doing at USC, made some nice, amazing throws, but got like 2 picks, 3, 4 sacks, and the whole thing, the same as Chicago Bears that season was just kind of doing this because
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
continuity, right? And so that's the thing is, yeah, you could put Jaden Daniels in Chicago with what Chicago had, and he'd probably do a little bit better. And you're like, oh, if Caleb Williams was in Washington, that'd be great for Caleb. But it's like, but we don't know if he actually would listen.
Right.
Yeah.
Jaden is coachable.
He's
The
very
dude's
coachable.
hungry.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
humble, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how he got the whole team to buy into him, and he's the starter, and everyone believes in him, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. With Caleb, right? It's he's like, I'm the man before he proved that he was the man.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, the thing with Caleb, you know, I believed in Caleb, but then I also didn't believe in Caleb. Right at the same time, because the reason why is because it put me in the where you thinking right now, where you guys were thinking Shador Sanders this year. That was my thinking on Caleb Williams last year.
Mm.
I know
Well,
he make the I know he make the fancy plays and all of this, and you know, like you say, like y'all say, ooh and the ahs and the this and escaping and getting out and all that. But to me, it wasn't that like the thing that you said earlier, Lee, and Doc, you said it too, with holding on to the ball and really just trying to play that hero ball. And also what I saw was an ego where it was like, I'm the man, I'm the best QB, you know, I'm this, I'm that. You gotta have some of that as a QB, as a football player in general.
you
You
got it.
gotta have some of that, right?
Yeah.
But some guys just go too far and thinking, you know, the NFL is going to translate just like college, like I'm in college carving people up, so I'm going to do the same thing in the NFL. They figure, you know, it's going to be, you know, it'll be some differences, but at the same time, I think I could still carve these dudes up.
Right.
And this is another thing. Like you said, Lee, you said this in year two. They've already these defensive coordinators. They already this their job, man.
Yeah.
This is their job to stop you.
Yeah.
So everything is going to adjust. It's going to adjust for everybody. Jaden Daniels is going to adjust for him. I think he's one of those guys that could stay ahead because of his humbleness and because of, you know, his study habits. But for me, guys like Caleb Williams, I don't know. I don't
So
know.
I think that's why the possible saving grace here for Caleb is their new coach,
Yeah.
right? Is it Ben?
Ben
Oh,
Johnson.
Ben Johnson,
Ben
right?
Johnson. Okay.
So
Yeah.
if he comes in and he's able to innovate the way that he did when he's with Detroit and able to put together a firm run game, and use the play action, have Caleb use the play action effectively, then he's going to have a successful season two,
Okay.
right? Because now there are going to be new wrinkles. It's going to be a new offense. Now defenses, yeah, last year you got to throw last year out and
Just
kind
throw
of
that out.
and then relearn.
Yeah.
But to that point, it's still going to get to a I guess what do you call it? Like a critical point where, okay, we've done everything that we can do. Now we need you to take it to the next level, which
Right.
he's shown that he can do when he's creating.
Yeah.
But if teams are able to zero in on that, oh, like they did with Russell Wilson,
Right.
he likes to veer to his left, right?
Yeah.
He likes to
Yeah.
loop back to his left.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure we have that covered so that he can't use that because that's his go-to move when he's in
Right.
trouble.
Right.
The
Right.
minute they're able to pinpoint his tendencies when the play breaks down, and if he can't like figure his way out of that
Yeah.
or evolve his way out of that, that's when you're gonna get in trouble with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Ben is gonna get him extend him another season to surprise teams a little bit with some innovative plays.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my concern, and remember now, guys, like I don't want to sound like a hypocrite here because when he was coming out, I touted him as one of the best quarterbacks I had seen,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
coming, in the draft at that time. And I still hold true to that. I mean, the dude is
Yeah.
immensely gifted. It's just that some of the things that he relied on in college, you can't rely on that all the time.
Right.
Can you evolve from that?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going to find himself in a situation because he took a lot of sacks. If he's not playing on rhythm, if he's not listening to the coach, if he's not getting the ball out, he's going to find himself in a situation where he's going to get hit at the wrong time. Or, sorry, hit at the right time,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the wrong time for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what's going to happen to all of that creativity if he's hampered by an injury or if something debilitating happens to him? So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think he protects himself enough.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely will see. Like you said, draft is coming up, man. It's going to be this is going to be exciting to see how all these storylines play out. And I'm very excited to see. I want to see how these quarterbacks going to shake out in this in this draft and where they're going to land and that kind of thing. It's going to be exciting to see because I know it for sure. Some teams are going to make some wrong decisions. Some teams are going to make the right decisions, and it happens every year. It happens every year. But looking forward to it, man. Looking
Yeah,
forward
man.
to it. Yeah, yeah. Well, fellas, man. This was a jam-packed episode, man.
Yes.
Got everything in it. So we Doc, appreciate you coming on, man. Sharing your insight.
Glad to be here, man. Always appreciate the time.
Genuine. I wish the best for your Vikings. Y'all got JJ in the saddle, so see who that backup will be other than Aaron Rodgers.
Joe Flacco. Let's go, Joe Flacco.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a nice veteran to stick in there.
Just don't want Aaron Rodgers, man. That's the hope. So
I got you.
Yep.
All right, fellas.
All right,
all right,
fellas.
guys. Have a great night.
All right.
All right.
Y'all take care.